Hey YouTube family, Wagwan, how is everybody doing? Welcome back to another video. And as you guys can see, I already went in and prepped my nails using my cuticle bit and my fine sanding band. Of course, whenever I'm prepping, I'm usually at 4 or 5,000 RPMs. RPM is the rotation per minute, it's the speed in which your drill is going. Whenever you're prepping, you want to make sure you stay within 4, maximum 6,000 RPMs because you do not want to put too much pressure on the natural nail. So as you guys can see, I'm going in and I'm measuring my tips, making sure they fit from sidewall to sidewall. You definitely want to make sure your tips are fitting from side to side because you want to make sure that your nails have the full strength. If your clients hit their nail, it should not break easily. This is if you do not fit your nail from side to side, this can also be the problem why it will break easy. You want to make sure you have the full strength. If you have a tip that's too small and a tip that's too big, always go for the bigger tip because you can always come in with your hand file or your scissors and you can cut it down. But never go for a smaller tip. Now I'm going to come in with my KDS glue and I'm going to apply the glue to my client's nail. Then I'm going to glue my tips down, hold it for like 2-3 seconds and release it. These nail tips, they stick very fast. I love them. They're super strong and these are my Coffin tips. One thing, sometimes you have a tip that's taking forever to glue. I'm going to tell you, sometimes it's not the glue, sometimes it's the nail tips, because I've had tips in the past that I didn't even know that you have tips out there that takes forever to be glued. It doesn't work properly. Sometimes people think it's the glue and it's not the glue, it's the actual tips. So switch your tips up and see how that works for you. And also, whenever you glue your tips down, make sure you squeeze on the sides, making sure everything is nice and snug. You don't want to leave anything hanging off to the side. So just come in if you see anything hanging and kind of like squeeze it. Whenever you're applying the glue also to the tip, make sure that the glue doesn't run down in your side walls because this can also cause lifting. Now I'm just going to go in and I'm going to cut the tips according to my client's desired length, and then I'm going to go in and measure the tips, aligning these cuticles side to side. That's how you're going to be able to see the true length of the nail. You want to make sure you catch the length whenever you're cutting the tip because you're going to save so much time in the end if you apply your acrylic before you actually pay small details to the length. That's going to take so much more time. So pay attention to the length whenever you're cutting the tips. That way, whenever you apply your acrylic, you don't have to waste time trying to get everything on the same length. And usually I use my scissors. You can also use a tip cutter to do this. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to just take off any excess. These tips are already Coffin tips, so I do not have a lot to take off. So after I'm done doing that with my scissors, I'm going to come in with my 100 grit hand file and I'm just going to refine the shape, making sure everything looks nice and sharp. Also, whenever I'm filing, I be careful that I'm not trying to eat out all the sides of where I glue the tip, because when I glued my tip down, I glued it so it fit from side to side. So I'm not going to come in with my hand file and remove the tip from the side walls. I want everything to stay connected. So whenever you're filing, try to file off to the side rather than filing down in the side wall. So do not eat your tips out. That's one thing. Whenever you're shaping as well, make sure you hold the client's hand very firm, and you can always hold the opposite side of the nail tip. That way the nail tip is not moving around too much because this can be very uncomfortable. Whenever I'm done shaping, I come in and I blend the tip making sure everything is nice and flat and blended on the client's natural nail. I do this because it gives me a smoother application, and sometimes whenever you are working with a lighter nude or a light pink, you do not want to be able to see this ledge through the nail. Now I'm going in and I'm dusting the nail off, making sure my nail bed is nice and clean and ready to be dehydrated and prepped. Now I'm coming in with my dehydrator and my lint-free wipes. Just gonna spray some on that wipes and go over my client natural nail. The dehydrator, as it says, is self-explanatory. It's just going to dehydrate the client nail, remove any excess oil, and it's going to give you like a better adhesion. Now I'm going to come in with my primer and I'm going to apply 1 coat of primer. Whenever you're applying primer, try not to over flood the cuticle. You never want to over flood your cuticle because this can also cause lifting. So don't do it too thin, but also you don't want to put too much that the primer is all over and running, and it's so obvious that the liquid is there on the nail. Now I'm coming in with my 8-ounce monomer, my 16-ounce monomer. Everything that I use in this video is going to be left in the description. And this nude is coverage nude. If you're looking for a darker nude, definitely go ahead and get that. And this is my number 12 Kolinsky brush. Before I start working, I always make sure I completely saturate my brush. You always want to make sure you completely saturate your brush. This way you're going to be able to have you're gonna pick up better bead and everything is going to be nice and smooth. So make sure you completely saturate your brush. Always don't just put it halfway through. Dip the entire brush, make that brush nice and wet. Then you're going to tap the side that's facing the client, then the opposite side you're going to press and bounce. Pick the powder up, then you're going to place the bead on the client's nail, press and release, and then making sure the client's finger is tilted downwards. That way naturally the acrylic is going to flow to the tip of the nail. Giving the acrylic gentle presses and light feathering motion, you're going to guide that acrylic to the tip of the nail. Don't do anything that doesn't need to be done. Don't overwork your acrylic and play in it. Let the acrylic do all the work for you. All you need to do is guide your acrylic and making sure you're cleaning up your sidewalls as you go along, keeping that shape. Coming in one more time, any excess liquid that you have in your brush, go ahead and drain it out. Then you're going to place that bead right above the cuticle, then tuck the acrylic back in the cuticle. You want to always make sure you never place that bead exactly in the cuticles because you want to leave a little bit of room for the acrylic to spread. If you place it exactly in the cuticle on the skin, too close to the skin, and when the acrylic starts spreading and forming, is going to go over on the skin. So just leave a little room so when the acrylic starts to flow and set, it's just going to set perfect in your cuticle area. And like I said before, clean up your sidewalls, keep that shape. Use the belly of your brush to smooth your acrylic out. You always want to make sure your acrylic is nice and smooth. That way you don't have a lot of work to do. Drain any excess liquid. Always do that. If you pick up a bead and you notice that it's too runny, make sure you go ahead and in your paper towel, you drain the excess liquid. Whenever you're applying your acrylic, as soon as you set the bead down, try to flatten the back of the bead. Don't leave like a ledge at the back. Because sometimes when you leave that ledge at the back or when you leave that hump, whenever you come in with your second bead, it can show that you left like a thick area where your first bead was placed. So always try to make sure you kind of make the back of your bead a little bit on the flat side. That way when you come in with your second bead, you don't have to be adding acrylics just so you can cover that sharp ledge. Also, like I said before, make sure you get your acrylic nice and tight in the cuticle and in your side walls. Only thing you want to make sure is that your acrylic is not getting on the skin, because if you leave any acrylic on the skin, you are going to have lifting. Whenever you're doing acrylic application, you want to make sure you have good products working with. This is going to save you so much time, and it's going to speed up your process. I know sometimes you might not have the money to invest in good products, but try to get at least 4 good colors that you know you use a lot. Get 4 good colors and just try to practice with those. 4 good cover colors should be able to take you a very long way. Get a good brush, get good powders, and just keep practicing with those, because cheap products that are, the consistency is not good. So now you have to focus on the product, focus on your craft, all that stuff. So just invest in good products. Also, the paper towel that you're working with needs to be a paper towel that's going to be removing the acrylic from the brush whenever you wipe it. The paper towel I am using is Viva paper towel. That's the paper towel that works for me, and I think it's a very good one. A lot of nail tech uses it, and it's been working for me for quite a while, like I said before. So go ahead and get you some Viva paper towel. Make sure the paper towel that you're getting is marked cloth. That's one thing. So the Viva paper towel, they have like a lot of different ones. The one you should get is the one that's marked cloth on it. Also, whenever you are working, you want to make sure you have enough monomer in your container, because one thing I noticed, whenever the monomer is low or dirty, you will not pick up a good bead. You want to make sure you have clean monomer and you have enough monomer. If you notice that you're working and your bead, you start picking up beads that are not nice and pearly, and it start falling off the brush, you know it's starting to get difficult, maybe it's time to change your monomer. Your monomer is dirty. Usually after like your 3rd set in that same monomer, the monomer is going to be bad. You need to be changing out your monomer. Worse if you start working and you notice that the products, they're working against you. Please go ahead and change that monomer out. Also, I don't know if some of you guys ever notice, whenever you are working on your client, they're saying that their nail burns. I've been paying attention to that, and I've came up with like a few ideas or a few conclusions that I'm like, maybe this is the reason. So based on my observation, whenever my monomer is low, this happens. So if you're working and your monomer gets low, just start to pay attention. Sometimes they can cause their nail to burn. These are just things that I observe, because I always want to know the reason why. Also, another reason that I notice is whenever I work too wet, they complain that their nail burn. So when the monomer is low or dirty, when I'm working too wet, and when I build the nail too thick, whenever I build my nails super thick, they always say that their nails burn. Anyways, if you ever experience this, where you're working and your clients say, oh, it's burning, all you have to do is get some alcohol and spray their nail with the alcohol, and then it's going to stop. So that's one thing, because I wouldn't want to be in a position where I am working and my client's saying their nail burns real bad and I don't know what to do. So if this happens to you, just spray the nail with alcohol. Back to the acrylic. One thing, whenever you're picking up a cuticle bead, you want to make sure that your bead is not dry. A dry bead is the worst bead. It's better to work with a wet bead than a dry bead. A dry bead doesn't snug to the nail properly. Wet beads does the job, or just the perfect bead. Like this bead, to me, that's a perfect bead. It's going to melt and it's going to snug and hold the nail. If the bead is too dry, it's not going to adhere to the nail properly. So make sure you're not working with dry beads, because this can also cause lifting. I know sometimes people go on the dry side because they don't want the acrylic to run, but a dry bead is a very dangerous bead. It can cause lifting. It does not snug and hold onto the nail properly. It does not adhere properly. Also, whenever you're working, any excess powder that's coming off the nail at the tip, go ahead and remove it. Don't waste your time trying to control it and trying to put it back on the nail. That's how everything looks. Everything is nice and tight, and like I said before, that's coverage nude. A perfect nude, very good nude if you're doing ombre, if you're trying to do a French, or any designs on top. Coming in one more time with my 100 grit hand file. I do not have a lot of work to do, because while I was applying my acrylic, I was being very cautious. I was cleaning up my sides, making sure I keep my shape. So all I need to do now is come over one more time, making sure everything is nice and neat. Whenever you're shaping, you want to always make sure you get underneath the nails, because this also reflects on the shape on top. Sometimes we're filing, thinking that the problem is on the sides or at the free edge. That's not always the issue. The issue can also be underneath. So make sure that you're getting underneath as well, because sometimes we have acrylics leak under or the tip, you have hanging tips underneath. So make sure you clean all that stuff up. Also, whenever you're filing, make sure you hold your client's finger nice and firm. And if it's a longer nail, you want to try to hold the nail itself, trying to keep it stable, especially when you're getting the free edge like I'm doing now. You want to hold the nail as well. That way, whenever you're filing, the nail is not going up and down. This can be very, very uncomfortable for your client. Also, before I start filing, what I do is I use an old file and I score my new file. Just go over the edges. Remove any sharpness from that new file, because the last thing you want to do is to slice your client. So if you find yourself always slicing your client, maybe you just need to go over the edges of your file, of the new hand file, before you use it. It just might be a little bit too sharp. So that's all I have to say regarding to the shape. Guys, make sure you're liking this video, okay? Give this video a thumbs up right now and leave a comment in the comment section. Always, you never want to skip this step. You always want to make sure you turn your client's hand from your client's view. That way you're going to see what they're seeing for the next 3 weeks. You need this view to fix any errors. This is the time to go ahead and go over the edges, the sides, all that good stuff. The client view is the best view. So never skip this step. It's very, very important. Now that I'm done with that, I'm just going to come in with my drill. This is how I hold my drill. I hold it like I'm writing. So my big finger goes around, my pointer finger controls the top, and then I place my pinky on my client's nail or on this side of their hand. And then I put my drill at around 20 or 21,000 RPM. Coming from the right to the left, I'm just going to seal my cuticles and my side walls. Wherever you're sealing, that's where the tip of your bit needs to be. So if you're trying to seal the sides, the tip of your bit needs to be in the sides. Wherever you're sealing, that's where the tip of the bit needs to be. And also make sure you come over the surface and get the tip of the nail as well. If the tip of your nail is too thick, you also can come in with your drill bit and get rid of all that excess thickness. Coming over the surface of the nail, what I do, I make sure I get enough of the work done with my drill. That way I do not have a lot of work to do with my hand file. So I make sure I apply my acrylic right, then I make sure I drill. I do most of the work with the drill, and this drill bit that I'm using is a medium panna drill bit. The link is going to also be in the description box, guys. Also, whenever I am drilling, my pinky finger never leaves me. Make sure your pinky finger is following you everywhere you go. This is going to help you to keep your drill stable. If you do not use your pinky finger, the drill is going to be all over the place. It's going to be so hard for you to keep control of the drill. So make sure you're always using your pinky finger to keep you stable. Also, whenever you're drilling, you want to make sure that you keep moving your client's hand and moving your hand accordingly. You don't want to keep twisting your body or having a very bad posture just to drill. Move your client hand, move your hand. Like, you have to be flexible. You can't just have like the client's hand in one position and yours in one position, and then you keep twisting and turning your body. That's not right. You should be twisting your client's finger, and you should be positioning your hand also accordingly. And like I said, making sure you're going over the surface of the nail. Hold the drill bit completely flat on the surface, and you're gonna go over the nail from the right to the left. And if you really want to keep that drill stable, like I said, use that pinky finger, and also use your drill to clean up the free edge of your nail, making sure it's not super thick. It all depends on your own personal preference, but for me, I don't like when it's too thick, but I also don't like if it's too thin, the tip of my nail. I don't like if it's too thin because then they could chip it easily, but then I don't like if it's too thick either. So it all depends on your personal preference. Whenever I am drilling, I make sure I keep my drill moving. Do not stay in one place too long, because then it can start heating up and then you're going to burn your client. So make sure you're not staying in one spot too long. Keep your drill moving. Keep it moving. That way, you know, it doesn't start to heat up and then you cause your client's nail to burn. Once you feel that you're drilling and you can feel they start pulling back, that simply means that it's getting hot. You can tell like what your client is feeling based on how they're moving their hand, they're pulling back and stuff like that. So you just have to work and be aware as well, because they talk to you through like moving their hand or pulling back and stuff like that. You could just ask them, is my drill like hot? You know, talk to them. They're doing something just to probably get your attention. So also, one more thing that I noticed, whenever I am drilling and the drill start heating up too fast, that's because my drill bit is dull. If you have a dull drill bit, as soon as you start drilling, the drill starts to heat up, the bit starts to heat up. That simple means that your drill bit needs to be changed, because you're drilling the spot so long trying to fix something, but it's not being fixed in the time that it should be, because the drill bit is dull. And also, when you place the drill, it's not even doing the work, it's just heating up. So if you notice that, oh my gosh, I just start drilling, I just put the drill down and did two back and forth, how the hell is she gonna say it's burning? Maybe your drill bit is dull. So you need to also, I changed my drill bit like a month and a half and 2 months max. I use my drill bits for maybe 2 months, and then I change it out. And like I said, this is a medium drill bit. You can also get the safety bit if you're scared to go close to your cuticle area. You can also go and get the safety bit, because they do have the safety bits, the panel drill bits on with the safety. That way you don't cut your client very easy. Coming in again, I'm just going to tighten my shape, making sure everything is nice and neat, because whenever you drill, sometimes the shape shift a little bit. So I'm just going to come in and make sure everything is nice, straight and tight before I come in with any design. that I'm done with my shaping and all that good stuff, I'm just gonna come in with my design. What I did use a lint-free wipes and alcohol, and I used that and I wiped the nail nice before I start any design. So whenever you wipe your nail, you want to make sure that it's a lint-free wipes. You don't want to use anything with any kind of lint in it, because then that's gonna mess with your polish. You're gonna be able to see it in your polish and all that. So whenever you wipe your nails off, make sure whatever you're using is lint-free. Also, what I do before I start any design, on the side I have a cup with acetone, and I have a palette with all my colors that I'll be using. So that's the first thing I do. I pick my colors out, set all the colors on my palette, and then I come in and I put my cup with acetone next to it. That way whenever I need to get the polish out my brush, I just dip it in, rinse it out, and move on to my next color. So for this design, I'm going to be doing some French, and then I'll be adding some design on top. She did come in with a inspo, so I'm just gonna work kind of like with the inspo. I'm gonna try to insert the picture and let you guys see the inspo, but that's if I can find it, because I don't think she had sent it to me. But anyways, yeah, I'm going with the inspo. She wanted to have like animal prints on top, so that's the look that I'm gonna be going for. So like I said, what I'm doing now, remove that yellow with my acetone. Then I'm going to come in with this pastel green. I'm going to start my French. So whenever I'm doing a French, I start from the side, then I come in at the corner, make a loop, and meet in the middle. This is how I practice my French, and then I clean up anything that needs to be cleaned up as I go along, and then I fill it in. This is how I practice my French, and it worked for me. I've never tried the other routes to make a V, make a U. No, I just come from the side and meet in the middle, and just try to practice like that. One side, then the other side, almost like you're trying to draw a comma. So do it like you're doing a comma. You come down and then you make a loop. One side, meet in the middle, and then you do the same thing for the other side. The more you do it is the more you're gonna get it, because you already have a visuals in your head how you want your French to look. So just work with the visual and meet in the middle, and then you can just clean up anything that needs to be cleaned up. But like I said, this design, we just basically did different color Frenchies on all the nails, and then we came in with our prints. So for this crop design, what I did put some blooming gel over the French only. You want to make sure you keep the blooming gel on top of the French, because wherever you put the blooming gel, that's where the design is going to be. So what I did is I put like blooming gel. You also don't want to put too much. And then I just come in while the blooming gel is wet, and I just add the dots to it and let it bloom like it says. And that's how you do that. And all you need is a dotting tool. You can find a dotting tool on Amazon. For most of this design, I used my dotting tool and my nail art brush. And the nail art brush also I got off of Amazon. I've been using this nail art brush for a very long time. Very much needs to be changed, which I'm going to be doing very soon. So don't come for me about it. Okay. So that's the design, y'all. It was super simple, to be honest with you. Wasn't anything like too technical. All these designs are very easy to do. Just don't overthink it. You know, you're not going for a specific, you see, like, don't try to overthinking like, oh, this needs to look exactly like that. Also, if your client, when my clients bring me any type of inspo pictures, I'm not trying to do any copy and paste. I just want to know that I saw it, I understand it, but I'm not trying to go corner to corner. You know, even if I'm going corner to corner, I'm not trying to do it like exact, like, no, because that's going to take up so much time, especially if you're doing any type of swirls. I can't do swirls like exactly. Like, if you just show me the swirl, I could just get it as close as possible, but I cannot sit down and try to do swirl for swirl, angle for angle. I can't. That's all day. That's all day. I'm sorry. Even if I'm doing the, what's this, zebra print, I can't look at the picture this girl sent to me trying to make the lines exactly the same. It's just not possible. So yeah, that's what I do. I just try to go as, I look at the design, I understand it, I see the look you're going for, but it's not gonna be copy and paste. It's gonna look good, but it's not gonna be copy and paste, because sometimes these designs, we do designs, it was so random, it's a mistake, and you have other people trying to do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I can't do what everybody else does. I can bring you close, but you know, it's going to look very much similar. But please don't sit down trying to do every single thing that person does. And then what I do is I clean my sides up with my fingers, because sometimes when you apply the top coat, the shape shifts a little bit. But that's the final results, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget, guys, going over to the website, get you some coverage nude. Until next time, take care. Remember to like the video. Bye.